Hi there. Today we will be talking about the very important concept of bracing the core. This is a function that bodybuilders, powerlifters train, will rely on heavily, but so do everyone. Human beings lift things, we bend, and bracing the core is paramount to creating a compressive force that stabilizes all the joints in our spine, the joint between the spine and hips, and allows us to move, to bend at the waist and side to side safely and effectively. So what exactly is bracing? It is a compressive force. It is a closing in around this whole belt girdle that, again, stabilizes the joint. So imagine you have your six pack here, your obliques on the sides, you have the erectors back here. All of them engage in bracing in A to B fashion where they're drawn to the middle. So again, imagine that this line right here, the six pack, just, this is me bracing right now. I am just drawing the two ends together. It happens in a vertical plane, longitudinal, literally top and bottom. Zzz, the muscles engage and bring the two ends together. Everything that attaches to the ribs pulls on everything that attaches to the hips and vice versa, and they meet in the middle. Now I'm doing it very, very heavily here, and I can bend here and I feel totally fine. Now, what can go wrong in bracing? Well, you really want to do it on as close to a neutral spine as you can get. You don't want to, similar to why you wouldn't want to do a heavy squat with a spine that's not in a good alignment, it's not good for the discs if you're not in a neutral spine, which is why we spend so much time helping you get that neutral spine. So you want to compress on a neutral spine. The next problem that a lot of people have is, depending on what they use day to day, some people are very abs dominant, and when they brace, they'll brace a lot from the front, but they can't do it from the back, or vice versa. Some people will do it and they'll pull only from the back and not the front. And a lot of people, believe it or not, have it such that half the side of their body braces really well. The TVA, all the muscles are really engaged to stabilize, but they can't stabilize well on the other side. Think about right-handed people, always doing something with the right hand. That's gonna put the weight here so you can use this, but then this gets turned off, as an example. So let's hop right into an assessment right now to help you figure out, first, side to side, which side stabilizes well, and if you have a side that does not stabilize well, you're gonna wanna grab a dumbbell or a kettlebell. Okay, so I have 25 pounds here. You want something that will challenge you because this is how you find out. So if you brace well, if the weight is in your right hand, you're gonna assess the left side. So this left side should be full. You should feel it not going to the lower back. You should feel tension. If you poke your stomach, it should be hard. And you should just feel stable throughout here, and it shouldn't be difficult, and you should feel supported. Switch hands. What do you notice? Does this side turn on just as well? Does it go more to the lower back or this area? Does it just not feel quite as balanced and efficient at supporting the weight? This is how you figure out what side to side, if there's an imbalance. And as we work to bring balance, this will be one of our exercises, just holding a weight on one side, breathing, and maybe leaning side to side to keep that tension there. Now that you have an idea about bracing and you have figured out at least side to side where the difference is, let's hop into some exercises to help you potentiate compression. Okay, so here we are, the first exercise. You're gonna need a cable machine with the cables above your head And it's really important that you have your spine straight. So you want to get your butt scooted all the way back to the machine. I am sitting on a little block here. I do not need a block, but if you are tight in the legs, you may want to raise your bum off the ground. So here's where we are. The weight is pulling my arms up. So on the first inhale, I'm just lifting my arms and my ribs up to the ceiling. That's decompression breath. I mean, that is what you practice in decompression breath, getting long through the spine. And then on the exhale, so on the exhale, you compress yourself down. On that exhale, I felt it majority in my six pack. So I would take a few breaths myself and see, can I put it more on the sides of my body? And that was better. It's about where the breath is so important. So I had to breathe and push my six pack out, and that allowed my side core to engage as well in pulling the ribs down. You just have to give it some time. Breathe and experiment. Arms come up. You can lift the arms up and then inhale as you bring the ribs up to meet the shoulders. And then just pull it down. The next variation is one arm. Now you can really focus on this side. So you'll breathe in. And sometimes you're breathing in, your belly's gonna wanna suck in naturally. As you breathe in, send the breath down into this belt. That's a big one. Sending the breath down into this belt will help you feel that tissue. If you're having a really hard time feeling the tissue, your belly is too sucked in. Once you find a good connection, a good engagement, you can also just hold that engagement over several breaths. Just feel that engagement, stay on. And keep that engagement while you then breathe up into the ribs, not losing that engagement down here. Finally, once you have a really good engagement and you feel good there, practice leaning to the side and pulling down. Pulling from every layer of tissue here. It should just feel very engaged and proper. You can even hold it here for that maximum contraction. And then come up. So there's a lot that can happen here. On to the next one. In this exercise, the goal is the same as the last exercise. The position now is we're in a hinge of the waist, and that is going to allow us to get the hamstrings involved and to practice having that bracing potential in hip flexion, because you can be really good at bracing here and then lose it or find it much more difficult when you bend at the waist. So put some weight on the cable, come back, walk back here. See if you can find bracing even here in this position while you've stepped back. And then slowly come forward. And in this position where you're really wanting to know if you can keep the bracing is in the front and the sides. Your back is going to work automatically because of the leverage of the weight will put force in your back. And people that get back pain typically get it because when the back works, it works alone. So bracing is to stabilize the back. So if all you feel is your back muscles working, well, they're not being helped. That's the whole point of this, is we want to feel the core, the stomach, the front and the sides helping the back. So the whole time I'm talking to you right now, I feel my core working, but I'm looking in the mirror, which is right behind the phone, and I can see that I'm over tucking. So I want to have that nice straight spine. But again, it's not a big deal. You really are just focused on keeping that core engaged, feeling that support in the back. So I would just hang out here for breaths. If every now and then I wanted to lean back, feeling that core support, do a little row, I can. Feel the lats going, but the whole time my core is braced. I feel very secure. So there you have it, that is bracing. Now bracing is a compressive force, which ultimately we will learn to balance with the decompression of our breath. So compression down here, but decompression up here. It gets a little complicated, but we need to, right now we're just building the individual blocks. So this is the block of bracing. Practice it, get better. See you next time.